Hi everyone, my name is Staz, and this is a brief summary of the plot of the 2016 film called Pet.
Please don't leave me.
I know this is hard, but it's important to define our relationship.
The film begins by introducing one of the main characters, a guy named Seth. The young guy works at an animal shelter where he feeds the dogs and takes care of their well-being. After his workday, Seth gets on the bus and heads home. Suddenly, a few seats ahead of him, he notices a familiar girl named Holly who is writing something in her diary. The guy approaches her and calls her by name. When the girl tries to remember him, Seth decides to help her a little and names an educational institution that is familiar to both of them. After a while, Holly gets off at her stops, but she doesn't leave Seth's thoughts. The next day, the lovesick guy decides to approach the shelter's security guard named Nate and ask for advice about Holly. He advises Seth to be more confident and funny.
Confident, funny, make him laugh. Got it. Good. Thanks.
Hey.
Soon after that, Seth runs into his boss who asks him to help the local veterinarian with the euthanasia of one of the dogs. Unfortunately, the sad fate befalls the shepherd dog Lexi, with whom the shelter worker had been acquainted for a long time. Returning home, the guy decides to distract himself from his tough day and look for any relevant information about Holly on social media. The next day, Seth stops by the cafe where the girl he's interested in works as a waitress. The guy tries to invite her to go to a concert together, but she declines, saying that she's already busy. Instead of getting upset, Seth waits for Holly to finish her workday so he can secretly follow her and find out where she lives. When Holly gets home, she runs into her friend Claire. During their conversation, the waitress gets a call from her ex-boyfriend Eric, with whom she broke up because of his cheating.
Wanted to talk. I've been thinking about you.
Is he drunk and weepy again?
The next day arrives, Holly heads to work again, where a gorgeous bouquet of roses is already waiting for her. The girl assumed it was a gift from Eric, so when evening comes, she heads over to his place. Arriving at the bar where her ex works, Holly finds out that the flowers weren't sent by him. The confused girl steps outside for a moment to smoke. Seth, who has been watching her all this time, suddenly asks what she thinks about the flowers. Holly, thinking that this strange guy is stalking her, rejects all his advances. When Seth asks her to stay and give him a chance to explain, a small scuffle breaks out, during which the girl's diary falls out of her bag. A little later, Eric steps in to defend Holly, which results in Seth getting punched in the face, as well as a good opportunity to snatch the personal notes of the girl he's interested in. In the next few days, the guy studies Holly's diary inside and out. One day, Seth stays late at work to explore all the abandoned areas of the shelter in more detail. In one of those places, he finds a hatch leading to the basement. Next comes a time when the guy is secretly building a steel cage for some dangerous and large predator. When the cage was finished, Seth steals a powerful sleeping pill from the doctor's office at the shelter. Returning home, the guy tests the drug on himself. After a while, Seth quietly sneaks into Holly's house and then, waiting for the right moment, he attacks her. After giving her injections and putting the girl into an unconscious state, the guy hides her in a large cardboard box and then takes his package to work. When Holly comes to in that very cage in the basement, the first thing she does is try to escape. She desperately tries to get rid of the locks and chains, but she gives up as soon as she loses one of her nails. Seth appears shortly after, bringing Holly food and water. The girl refuses to eat, and when night falls, she starts talking to Claire, who seems to be her imaginary friend. When Seth visits Holly next, he admits to her that he heard her talking to herself in two different voices, which clearly indicates that she has a personality disorder. Next, the guy explains to the girl the motive behind his actions.
I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for you. Because you're special.
After justifying his actions by saying that he is saving the girl from herself, Seth also tells her that he has read her diary completely, where he found many shocking things. After that, one of Holly's memories kicks in, where the girl, while driving a car, tells Claire, who is sitting next to her, that she knows about her intimate relationship with Eric. Then the girl starts pressing the gas pedal until her car gets into an accident. Despite all the injuries, both girls survive. When Holly comes to, she takes a shard of glass and finishes off her friend. Due to the circumstances of the accident, Claire's death was not considered a murder. Since then, Holly has turned into a serial killer. Every crime committed by this girl was detailed by her in her own diary. When Seth realized that all these stories were real, he understood that his most important goal in life was to save Holly, protecting her from other people. After all, each of them could become her new victim.
I think you wanted to get caught. It's why you kept the journal. You wanted to get punished.
Over the next few days, the strange girl and the equally strange guy start playing mind games, building a trusting relationship as much as they can. Even though Holly openly states that the reason for all her murders is her twisted pleasure, Seth still insists that it's a result of psychological trauma caused by avoiding responsibility for Claire's death. Spending a lot of time with his special pet, the shelter worker's performance began to decline, which attracted unnecessary attention to him. First, Seth's boss reprimands him, and then the security guard tries to figure out why this guy, while at work, stopped fulfilling his duties. One day, Nate decides to follow Seth, which leads him to the very room that has a hatch leading down to the basement. Soon, the guard discovers the cage and finds Holly locked inside it. Distracted by the discovery of the lock, the man doesn't notice as Seth appears in the basement. When Holly saw her captor, she intentionally starts to distract Nate even more. During a loud and chaotic speech, the girl hints to Seth that he has the best chance right now to get rid of the witness.
Love is sacrifice.
During the struggle, the guy uses a flashlight which allows him to knock out his opponent. Holly, expressing her fears that the police might catch Seth, convinces the winner of the recent fight to kill Nate with a cinder block. After Seth commits a serious crime, the girl gives him detailed instructions on how to cover his tracks properly. Following a complex multi-step plan, the guy really minimizes the chances of being linked to the murder. A few days go by. The police investigating Nate's disappearance first began to suspect Seth as the person who had the most contact with him. During the interrogation, the guy manages to deflect suspicion away from himself, after which his life returns to its usual rhythm: home, work, and communication with the locked-up Holly. As they grow even closer, Seth starts to believe that Holly has begun to reciprocate his feelings. When he understands this topic, the girl admits that it's true, but in order to move to the next stage of their relationship, she needs some significant proof of his love. As you might have guessed, it wasn't about the ring.
Then what? What do you want?
Proof. A finger.
A what? My finger?
After a brief moment of reflection, Seth agrees to prove his love by cutting off his finger. As he does this in front of Holly, near her cage, there comes a moment when the knife is left unattended and within the girl's reach. She immediately grabs the cold weapon and presses it to her throat. The girl gives Seth an ultimatum. Either he lets her go, or she will end her life. The guy is forced to comply. When the cage opens and Holly steps out, she removes the knife from her throat and says,
I believe you.
You do?
After that, the girl treacherously drags the knife across Seth's neck. Some time passes. The good-looking Holly is back in a relationship with Eric. One day, while checking his phone, the girl finds evidence that he is cheating on her again. Holly is very angry, but she doesn't harm the guy, or even say anything to him. Instead, she heads to an abandoned warehouse where there is a cage similar to the one she was once trapped in. Inside, there is some man. It soon becomes clear that it's Seth, who somehow managed to survive. Inside, there is some man. It soon becomes clear that it's Seth, who somehow managed to survive. The guy has blind eyes and a severely disfigured body, which has clearly endured various forms of violence for a very long time. Holly takes his hand and expresses her immense gratitude. It becomes clear that the girl has stopped killing people and instead is taking out all her anger and bloodlust on Seth. In many ways, he truly and genuinely did save her.
Then I felt better.
The film Pet tells an intriguing story about the relationship between two mentally ill people, where a negative plus a negative results in a questionable yet still positive outcome. Apparently, Seth, played by Dominic Monaghan, has no regrets in the end, as his sacrifice truly saves lives. Plus, this character literally embodies the Latin phrase, love is blind. How would you rate this film? Make sure to leave a comment. That brings us to the end of our video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you found it interesting, then definitely support this video with a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new videos. Well, this was Stas, who is already preparing a new summary for you. Stay healthy, watch only good movies, and play only good games. Good luck to everyone, and goodbye.